This is John Ramsey, and this is My Big Comeback. We're so thankful for you watching us on the podcast, or maybe you're listening, and we're excited to be with you today. This is episode 1. I've got a very, very special guest with us today to have an inspirational conversation, and that's Mr. Ron Sharpe with the Ark of the Bay. And glad to have you, Ron. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being with us.
Hey.
Tell us a little bit about Ark of the Bay and what you're doing there. I know you're involved in a lot, but tell us about that.
Well, we are celebrating 68 years now in Bay County. We are the St. Andrew Bay Center DBA, Ark of the Bay, and we have the privilege and honor of being able to work, and it varies because of roll-offs, changes in the status, people moving and coming and going, what have you, but anywhere between 350 to 400 individuals with unique abilities, wide range from autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, hearing impaired. And what we do is we, first of all, we love on them, absolutely love on them.
Beautiful.
And help them teach them life skills and job skills and everything that we can do to help them get more and more independence, help them to be productive and engaged in the community, getting them out, and just letting them know, we take things for granted. We do, our health and everything. Yeah. Just going and getting in the car to get gas, all those little things. And for them, they're usually told, or their clothes is picked for them and all these little things that, and we just, self-advocacy, self-choice, let them, they have a right.
Yes.
And so that's what we try to do. We try to help them find jobs. We've got 2 adult day training programs. We have the Sermons Employment Learning Center, and then we have our St. Andrew Bay Center facility, which is our largest. And so those are day programs. They're Monday through Friday from 8:30, 9 to 3. And so within those classrooms, and they vary, again, we focus on each individual. Because
so when you say day programs, does that mean they come there and then they go back home?
And then they go back, Okay. They'll go back home. Some live at home. Some live in what we call residential group homes.
How many of those do you have?
We just opened our very first one, right?
Right behind the church.
The James.
Glad to have you there.
Oh, man, thank you. We're excited. But there's several out in our community, so they come to our day program, and we work with them and have just all kind of things. Little things like, for example, what's the weather like tomorrow? Do you how do you wear a jacket? Do you need an umbrella? There's just so much that we try to share. I'm very, very excited about this, and again, everything that I will tell you, I get excited.
Yeah.
Because God has provided. God has given. We have a strategic plan, and every one of our successes has been based on the foundation of what their needs are, what are the challenges, and how we can help them in the community. We now have transportation. We have 6 paid buses, all paid in full. We have 2 vans.
That's fantastic.
It is. And
so you said about 350 with unique abilities.
Right.
That you're serving. Mm-hmm. About what size staff, volunteers, and whatever, paid volunteer, either way?
We have, that's a good question. We have right now, because of course, the group home, residential home, we have about 35 paid staff, and we're recruiting right now as we speak, more. We have 15 members on our board of directors, and then we have 2 committees. I keep them simple. We have an external and we have an internal. External is your communications, your advocacy, and your internal is your operations, your finance, and so forth, and HR. And so within those committees, we'll have another 75 people that will help out. Yeah, we're very, very, very blessed. And the culinary program, I'll tell you about that one. Is again, it was a vision that I had. We live in the world's most beautiful beaches, and if you go back and you look at the economic impact, the employers, and you look at the top 5, and you look at the hospitality and the food service industry, and I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great if we could be a resource for the restaurant business, the food service industry. And so Kim Bodine, who is just a godsend, She's the director, executive director for Career Source. And she's a past board president. And so we were able to get a grant to establish our certified culinary program. When I say certified, with that grant, we hired a chef. We built our curriculum. So it is a very structured, it's not just a feel good, but it is a testing quality restaurant readiness program.
I love it.
And it's 16 weeks, 3 semesters a year.
They do it in the college?
Yeah. No, we used to be at the college. You know, you don't fail if you don't try. But we were at the college for a year and a half, and just financially, it just wasn't working for us.
Yeah.
And so we had to pull out. But like I said, we learned from it.
Yeah.
So we're back at our main campus in our Sally Stanley community room. We have a small commercial kitchen. We average about 6 students per class, more intimate, hands-on.
Yeah.
And so it is VR, vocational rehab, Department of Education certified.
That's fantastic.
And so it's tuition based. And I say that if you work hard, you play hard.
Yes.
So when each graduate, and by the way, they get their ServSafe certification, food handling, a lot of certifications and process with that. But a lot of the folks that we have that we serve won't have this opportunity. Yeah. And so we go to Epcot. We have a little small aquaponics on campus, fish, herbs, and getting it going again for the spring. But we go to Epcot, and they have Behind the Seeds, which is a huge aquaponics program.
They're like the land.
Yes,
or whatever.
Behind the Seeds, Beyond the Land, all those. Yeah. And so we do a day of education and fun, but we also take them to Disney.
I love stuff.
And so that's part of the 16-week program. When we started, we also went through COVID. We changed up some stuff. I'm a tightwad, okay? Low cost provider.
I think they call me cheap. Cheap is what they say.
So we operate on a 13% overhead, meaning that 87 cents on every dollar comes right back into our programs. But when we first started the program, we were going to give them a Chromebook. And then I'll never forget, we were trying to collect the Chromebook back. From one of the students, and our chef was talking to her, and she just said, "Chef, I'm just going to tell you, you're not getting your Chromebook back." And I said, "You know what? She's right. You know, that is the gateway to the world. Yeah. It's a piece." And so we get a good price on them. And so now they keep the Chromebook.
They keep the Chromebook. That's beautiful.
It is. And what I'm proud of is because we've had now over 5 years, 80 students that have graduated.
That's beautiful.
And of that, over 50% are working in the workforce.
That's beautiful.
That is work. And in each one may work 4 hours a week. Some are working 40. It's all based on them and what you can do. I
have a grandson that's on the autism spectrum. And I remember, sometimes when parents are dealing with stuff like that, it gets really hard because they, and me as a grandparent, I wrongly told my daughter, "I think you're mistaken. I don't know if this doctor knows who's talking about this and that." And early on had been diagnosed. And, with me, I'm old school, uneducated about some of that stuff. And I just was not accepting it is what it was. And she kept saying, "Dad, I'm telling you, it's something we're dealing with." And they came with it. At that time, they were living in North Carolina, and they came to stay with me at Christmas. And when Christmas morning came, all the kids ran to the tree. Carter picked up his iPad, went over to sit in the corner. I said, "Yeah, there's something different." Yeah. But I've learned that it's not a disability, it's a super ability. It's a super sensitivity is really what it is.
It is.
And he's just amazing. I'll tell you my best Carter story.
Absolutely.
We were going to go to Disney World. We're trying to get in the car. He's screaming, crying about something. I said, what's his problem? I'm getting frustrated. I said, "What's his problem?" She said, "Dad, we can't find his letter L." And I said, "Okay, explain that one to me. What are we talking about?" He says, "The magnetic letters go on the refrigerator. He can't find his L." And I said, "He don't know, whatever." And she said, "Dad, he knows." So she's looking all over the house for his L. So I'll reach over and I picked the K out of the pile of letters. And I said, "Carter, come here a second." He said, "Oh, no." I said, "What is it?" He says, "Now my L and my K is missing."
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm talking about this was a clumped up pile of letters. He could look at that pile of letters and tell you that the letter K was missing. And I'm thinking, I'm not taking you to Disney, I'm taking you to Vegas. I'm thinking, I'm joking. But what I'm saying is it's a super ability.
It is.
It's a super ability. But the world doesn't understand that sometimes.
And the biggest thing is the biggest joy and the excitement is when you get out of their way and connect the dots, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, wow, I mean, because they're some of the smartest, talented people, and we just gotta connect with them.
Well, and I think some schools are better with working at it than others. I know when they're little kids, we deal with preschool children at Harvest, and sometimes it's harder to know what you're dealing with.
It is,
and it's harder. Later in life, a lot of times it's easier to diagnose. But I thank you for dealing with that kind of stuff and helping people with unique abilities.
Well, you know what? It's we're blessed.
Yes.
I mean, and we are their voice.
Yes.
And we have to advocate. We have to raise the bar.
Absolutely.
They deserve it. They're vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Some of them are very vulnerable. So yeah, it's I just know where I'm at because he's got me there.
Yes.
And that's
How long have you been there at Ark of the Bay?
almost 10 years now.
10 years. And where were you at before that?
I was with United Way for almost 7.5 years. Here. Before all that, and put it this way, 21 years now. Prior to that, I was in corporate retail, and I was, oh Lordy, it just wasn't done with me.
Yeah.
And I was with Sears Roebuck and Company. I left when Kmart came on board, and John, all I can tell you is that I just, and
Are you the one that closed Kmart?
No. But I would tell you though, all I can tell you is that you got to value your people. That's all.
Yes.
In any business. But I just really got to a point where I said, God, where do you want me?
Yes.
I have ADHD with no meds, and I said, God, just going to take a 4x4, and just prayed. And I went into the nonprofit world and worked for the YMCA here.
In Panama City.
And we took it to a level that was just great. The Lord moved me on to United Way, and then was there for 7.5 years. And after that, you always just hope and pray people see your work ethic, and your drive, and give God the glory. And so the center, St. Andrew Bay Center, contacted me and said, "Hey, we'd like to see if you would like to come to work for us." And I absolutely.
Let me tell you, you've been an amazing spokesman for it, because I know more about Ark of the Bay than I've ever known.
Yeah.
Because you're always in the middle of whatever's going on. I'm going to talk to you some more about how you personally got into it. We're going to take a break for just a moment. You're listening to My Big Comeback with John R. Ramsey. We'll be back in just a moment.
Heroes Child is a nonprofit organization that is on a mission to help community heroes with the everyday cost of childcare. We know that heroes like our military personnel, first responders, and foster families need care for their children. Heroes Child awards these families scholarships that go to help pay their childcare tuition. Use the QR code on the screen to donate now, or visit heroeschild.org today.
Hey, good to have you back. This is John Ramsey with My Big Comeback, and I've got Ron Sharpe with me, and we've been talking about the Ark of the Bay. But Ron, a few weeks back, I was on Facebook or Instagram, and I came across a story where you were talking about the inspiration that your brother was. And I'm going to tell you, man, it touched my heart, and it moved me. And I want you to share a little bit about how that unique abilities touched your life.
I mentioned earlier that I'm the baby of 8, and the Donald is what we called him. My brother, older brother. Yeah, he was 8 years. Is that right? 8 years older than me, but was still. He went to. He was cerebral palsy and hearing impaired, and went to Mississippi School for the Deaf. Older in life, he came back home. So when he came back was when I was really, getting into my teens and 20s and so forth, and got a chance to spend more time with him. He had a challenging life, but John, he was also very, very blessed. There are others that had more challenges than him, but he was a fighter. And he was an inspiration. So I've again said earlier about the things that we take for granted.
Yeah,
we do. And so I got to see a close personal perspective of some of the challenges. I remember looking at some pictures, back in the day when you had those chrome legs, braces on the legs for cerebral palsy and so forth. He wasn't supposed to live past 21, he was supposed to never ride a bicycle, wasn't supposed to do a lot of things, but he did. And so he's my why. And then with that too, I mentioned about knowing where you are, because I've been battling, right? I mean, God, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to be? But man, get my attention and just to help me to be a servant. And again, Ron, you think you got it figured out, but if you'll just trust me, I'll get you there, and I'm hard-headed, but he is, but.
So because Donald was older than you, so from the time you were born, he was dealing with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did it affect your parents and your family?
Let me just say this. My mom was a fighter. I think every elected official in the state of Mississippi knew my mom.
Because people were not as sensitive as they are today.
Oh, absolutely. And, frowned upon and this, that, and other. And, but she was a fighter. And when I say Senator Trent Lott, bless his heart, on the federal level, but she fought, she pushed for the rights for my brother and others. It's just one of those things that when you see it, you just never forget. You don't. And then when God put me here where I'm at the Ark of the Bay, if God puts you in a leadership position, own it, right? I mean, don't wrong. We struggle, we battle, we're sinners. But it just and then God has put some amazing people on my board to help coach, guide, direct, and we're not finished. We're still got some things that we're working on, and the challenges.
I think of that like when you say taking some of your people to Disney World and stuff. Like I think of families that don't get to do that because they've got a unique ability in their family, and it's just not accommodating. Everything's not accommodating.
That's right. I had a drop the mic moment for me about 3 or 4 years ago. I was on a call, statewide call, and we were sharing best practices, and it was within a training program down, I think in Orlando, may have been Tampa. And the director of the program is a very, very talented and great organization. And she said, now, if we're going to share with you all these great things that we're doing and our folks are doing, our students are doing, but she said, I need to tell you that they're all high functioning. Mm-hmm. And it hit me. And John, I'll try not to get emotional, but it hit me. I said, wait a minute. So what about those that aren't high functioning, that can't speak out? And what I'm saying to you is this, and I've had several state directors come to our culinary program, and I shared with them, I said, I can tell you that we do grades on our culinary program. We do, academics and teach how to do recipes and measurements and all that. Yeah. And I said, but if we have an individual with a disability that expresses that they want to learn about the culinary arts, we're going to put them in. Yeah. We're not going to, because then they're going to be limited in a room or somewhere or not reach their, they may be the best dishwasher that you ever find. One of the things about our folks is this: when it comes to being dependable, you can count on them. And some of it is repetitive. Man, like I said earlier, you just got to get out of the way and let them be productive employees.
Well, thank God for you. Wow. I mean, seriously, your heart and helping people is a beautiful thing, and I appreciate it. I mean, I appreciate what you're doing. Like you said, y'all just built the residential home right behind the church, and we love it. We love it. We're good. We thank God for good neighbors. You never know who's moving in. You want to like the people moving in. So we like you. So.
Well, I'll tell you, and so many God moments there. Yeah. Our church, Lynn Haven Methodist Church, on the
Great
property,
church,
and
yeah.
donated $90,000 worth of land, and that was fantastic. And then James Finch, who's been a contributor over the years to our agency.
What a giver. Yeah.
And
Great giver, great heart.
and so and then to get the funds from the state, to get the county to match some funds to go with it.
A lot of people involved.
A lot of people. I mean, that's you weren't, and you were out of town, I believe, when we did our grand opening. And I said,
I was out of town.
you don't have a project like that, and believe me, major construction, you're going through it, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's the God moments all over.
Well, and I think a lot of people underestimate, I was talking to some people out of town, and they come in town and say, well, that hurricane was a long time ago. The hurricane, well, it seemed like yesterday.
I know.
I mean, and it's still a lot of people. FEMA told me that there was 84 churches that were destroyed in Hurricane Michael. That's just churches. That's not businesses and homes. And so we're all be a long time getting over it, but we're thankful too. I mean, I got no complaints. I'm thankful for what God is doing. And when I think about Bay County, what do you love the most about Bay County?
Ooh, let me tell you, if giving.
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 It is a giving bunch of people.
Care,
Great people.
When I say giving, I'm talking about their time,
Yes.
their talents, their treasures. And we're very, very blessed to live where we live.
Yes.
I mean, besides the world's most beautiful beaches, the people, they're good people. They care about our community, volunteering, helping out, just, wherever the need is. That, I call, when you look at all of the nonprofits in our community, about picking your passion.
Yeah.
And we are very, very fortunate to live where we live.
How long did you say you lived in Panama City?
Moved here in 2000, so it's now 25 years this summer.
25 years. I moved here in 1980 when I was 12 years old, and my father was in the military. He retired, and this was his first job he took after he retired, civil service out of Tyndall.
Right.
Back then, if you went out to where Pier Park is now, it was like the woods. And it's like what your mom would say, why are you driving out of town? Because there was nothing out there.
Exactly.
And it's changed so much. And all the big stuff they're building out there now, they're anticipating tremendous growth in our city. And I know that there'll always be people with needs. There'll always be people who need help. And so there'll always need to be givers, and we're thankful for that.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things in our strategic planning is, with the influx of the new people that's coming, is the demands for meeting the needs of individuals with disabilities.
Yes.
Is I've got some property, and I'm saying, okay, God, you just, this is, let your will be done, not my will, but there's more residential housing needs in the community. And so there's two pieces of land that I know that are available. We're going to get this one down pat, get it going, and just say, okay, God, what else, to work on those.
Yeah.
We're just going to continue. Our folks, besides what we do with our day program, is you mentioned about going to Disney and to Epcot and so forth. Those life experiences, we take them to FSU football games. Dean Hanna and Dr. Clark say, hey, can you give us some of the cheapest seats in a game that's not going to, and make a major impact, because I don't want to hurt you.
Yeah.
If you can give us some tickets, and I go back to what I said earlier about things we just take for granted. But a college football game, are you kidding
they
me?
love it. Experience it. Let them experience it.
Basketball games, we took. We haven't been, but we need to go again to a NASCAR truck race.
Yeah,
those things.
That's fun. I want to go.
But the other thing is that, but we're working on another project where a great community partner just going to the beach, just a lot of them. Pineapple Willie's, when they do their week of giving.
That's beautiful.
We take them there.
I love it.
Because they've never got a chance to maybe just go out and have a good lunch out there at the pier and those things. It's life experiences.
Let me give you some lightning round personal questions.
Sure.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Reading. What's your genre you like to read?
The Bible.
Bible.
Try to read the Bible.
If the Bible's not an option, what's your next thing?
Oh gosh, I love sports. I read sports. I just wish that what I can remember on stats, I could remember Bible verses, right? I mean, it's like I used to tell you everything about Archie Manning or gosh,
The Manning family.
the Manning family, and gosh,
Because you're a New Orleans person.
diehard New Orleans Saints fan.
Yeah, bless your heart. Yeah.
And what have you. But my attention span is very, very short. So
I used to read all the time, but I now I've got to where I do Audible. And so I'm always listening to a book, and I love it. I drive and listen to a book, rake my yard, listen to a book. So I like listening to stuff, and but I'm all over the place. I mean, if I like historical fiction. I'm a big World War II buff, and I like that. And then I like a lot of science and knowledge books. I like it's just different. I find myself changing it up to keep my interest.
I just I try to stay on top of nationally our industry, what's going on in the community.
Do you think our community is pretty sensitive to people with special needs?
I think we are. I mean, look at what's going on over at the beach. More and more mats, platforms to get access to the beach. Can we, I mean, we've come a long way. I think there's still, and there will still always going to be some challenges, first of all, right now, our frustration level seems to be getting higher and higher, right?
Yeah.
When someone didn't respond. But I think, like, for example, we were talking about autism earlier, that sometimes people are not responding because they have a disability. I don't think God makes us average. I mean, we're not average. God didn't make us, and so do we truly understand our fullest potential?
Yeah.
And how do we all get there? And my kind of ways to go, believe me. But it is just, I always tell people, what are you in for? But it starts with accepting Him as your Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
Then it's the other of being a servant and just being the absolute best you can be.
What would you think, like the biggest obstacle people with special needs face? Is it people's understanding, or is it them being too discounted, or what is it? What's their biggest challenge?
Well, there's several. One of the biggest challenges is transportation.
Yeah.
Transportation. That's, one of the, and we're not there yet, but, we're picking up, taking back and forth to our school and so forth. But there's still a need, as we talk about employment, getting those to work. And Bayway does a great job, but there's still some challenges to weekends, that when Bobby or Susie's getting off at Saturday at 10 o'clock, meeting those transportation needs.
Yeah.
The biggest challenges that we have, and I think in every community, and it's one of our strategic plans, this year we're focusing on autism. Yeah. That is the thing that is just right now is we have several great, let me give you one, FSU PC.
Yeah.
They have the #1 autism program for children in the nation. In the nation.
Right here in Panama City.
So here's the way I think, and here's what I shared with our board. So if we can have the #1 autism program in the nation for children, then we ought to have the #1 autism program for adults.
Absolutely.
And so that's what we're going to be working on this year, as hopefully this time next year we'll be able to launch. We're starting grassroots, whatever, to look to see what the needs are. How do we address it? We're going to be reaching out to everybody and anybody to put together the quality curriculum, the game plan to put, when they age out of the school system, like, for example, FSU PC, after they turn 18, there's a gap, huge gap. There's nothing. Yeah. And so that's one of the challenges that we're looking at, facing that and how to reach those.
Man, I love it. Listen, I'm talking to Ron Sharpe. This is My Big Comeback with John Ramsey. We'll be back in just a minute.
Harvest Christian Academy, quality child care and preschool for children infant to 5 years old. We are state certified and licensed through DCF with an experienced caring staff. We also offer free volunteer pre-kindergarten for all 4-year-olds. Harvest Christian Academy for all your child care needs. Enroll your child today. Call 850-271-9647.
Here's the thing that I always say to people, to be inspirational, you got to be inspired. And so I always like to ask people about their bucket list, or like if I give you a plane ticket, where would you go? And where's kind of give me a bucket list or a dream that you got.
You know, and I'm being absolutely sincere with you. My sister lives in Montana. Maybe love to go up there during the winter if it's beautiful up that way. Been up to New York. I've been to New York City. I've been to California. Been to Cabo. Been to the islands.
You've been to
Virgin
Europe?
Islands.
Been to
No,
Europe?
I hadn't been to
I
Europe.
wanna go to Europe.
I love to go.
Yeah.
Would like to catch maybe some more sports events.
Yeah.
I always wanted to go to. Well, I did go to a Super Bowl back when Brett Favre won in New Orleans. I was able to go to that one.
New Orleans
But
again.
yeah, I know. But just
I want to go fly fishing in Montana.
that would be
I'd
fun.
like to do that.
But
one of the
I don't
bucket
have
lists.
that. I don't have that.
On
I
the
don't have
bucket
that
list. I'm
patience.
not a big fishing person either, but I could be.
Give me
I could
dead
be.
shrimp and I'll catch anything.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
could
when,
be.
when you got to be smarter than the fish, just give.
So when I think of things that I want to do, I want to see some things. There's some things that I'd like to see. I'd like to go to Europe. I'd like to see some of the castles and the landscape and different stuff. I think I live in the world's most beautiful beach.
Absolutely.
So there's not many beach locations on my bucket list.
Okay, I got you.
But I'd like to go to Europe. I'd like to do a few things. I wanted to go see the big trees in California. I did that a few years back. I've been to Napa, been to those places. I've seen a lot of America. There's a train ride. There's a train trip that goes from Denver to Salt Lake City over the Rocky Mountains.
Oh, that would be
I want to
awesome.
do that. It's on my bucket
Hey,
list.
good for you.
So,
Good for you.
I like stuff like that. I want to, I want to do an Alaskan cruise. I've been on lots of cruises, but not an Alaskan cruise, and I'd like to see that. But, I believe that a person's got to be inspired to inspire other people. And I think that everyone has dreams. The people you serve have dreams.
Absolutely.
And I think it's good for people to reach out and have something
Absolutely.
to believe for.
Yeah, I agree. I just right now, I don't know, just focusing on the needs. The autism. That's we're fixing to roll out a mental therapy program as well this year. So just the check off things on those. But yeah, I'll slow down. And one thing I do want to get, and I don't know if it wants to be a condo on the beach, but I can just watch the waves roll in and chill.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's relaxing.
Exactly, and just take in his beauty.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm telling you, you are a blessing to Bay County, and I know there's people listening and watching that are not just in Bay County, but I'm sure there's Ron Sharpes all over the place, people that care about other people and want to make other people's lives better. I appreciate you being with us on the podcast today.
Appreciate it.
And
Thank you for inviting me.
sharing everything you're doing, and hope that you watch. We're gonna have a different guest every week on My Big Comeback, and what I want this to be is inspirational stories, inspirational conversations with inspirational people. And Ron Sharpe, you are that, and we appreciate you being with us
Hey,
today.
thank you. Just give God the glory.
Amen. Thanks for being with us today on My Big Comeback with John R. Ramsey. Thank you.